Hello, Playbook listeners. I'm here with Manav from Vly.AI, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with him today. Without further ado, we'll jump right into it. Manav, do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about Vly itself and maybe a bit about your backstory?
Yeah, for sure. So Vly.AI is the most powerful coding agent on the web. We're currently building a product that allows anybody to take a simple idea for any kind of app, a piece of software, describe it in English, and have our agents build it, host it, deploy it, and continue to make changes and maintain it. So we started as a company, oh gosh, it's been almost a year now. So we started last June. Me and my co-founder, we met at a hackathon actually. We weren't even working on this idea, but we just met. This idea was something that we were tinkering around with yeah, for a long time before we met. And it's something, the concept of using AI to write code, to run that code, and being able to essentially automate certain processes of being a full stack developer. And so we met at that hackathon. We realized we both had been tinkering around with similar ideas. And so we figured, hey, can we turn this into a real product and get some real users on this? At the time, we were both in college. And so it was during the summer. So we gave ourselves a little deadline. We're like, by the end of the summer, if we can build this thing and get 5 users, we will take a gap semester and try to build it into an actual company. And so we did that. We took a semester off and started working on this. So that was last fall, and then we ended up getting into the fall batch of Y Combinator. And so from there, we're like, all right, I guess it's time to go all in. And so we dropped out of school, went all in on this, and there's been no looking back since.
Yeah, awesome. And so I'm assuming you both come from technical background, software and computer science?
Yeah, we were both studying computer science. Victor at the University of Washington, and myself at Purdue.
Oh, cool. Do you go any to basketball games there?
Yeah, that was one of the big highlights of being over there. We got to see Zach Edey in his prime.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so you are the co-founder of Lie. What does a typical day for you look like?
Oh gosh, I think no day looks exactly the same, even in a given week or week to week. But I'd say typically, we'll be waking up somewhere between 8 or 10. My co-founder and I are on kind of opposite schedules, so he's a super, super late owl, so he'll be working well past like 3, 4 a.m. And so he'll usually be asleep by the time I'm up, but I'll come into the office, try to knock out the boring email and a couple of meeting stuff in the beginning of the day, and then try to get a couple hours of deep work in, at which point, Victor will usually come in. So we'll sync on our priorities, what we're working on, the key metrics. We'll review anything, any outages or stuff that happened the previous night. And then, if we have meetings, we try to schedule them all in blocks so that we don't need to keep switching between meeting stuff and getting engineering work done. But yeah, I usually will be coding away, shipping product, trying to talk to our customers. We have a pretty active Discord community where our users come in, ask for support, share things they've built. So we try to spend a lot of time interacting with them so we can build engagement with the product. And also it's been the most valuable source for getting feedback on the product and deciding what to prioritize next. Typically, in the evenings, we'll go out for dinner. We've been trying to cook more and eat healthier. But yeah, we'll go out to dinner, hit the gym. I think we try to keep ourselves to that regimen of hitting the gym and eating well every day. And then yeah, just try to get in 8 hours of sleep. That's another thing that we're really trying not to compromise on. Sometimes it hits 7 or even 6, but yeah, that's a typical day in the life.
So now shifting over to a little bit about the industry. You've been doing this for a year now, right? Year and a bit. Starting as an AI startup, but even in this last year, I can see myself how much AI has changed. What are
Yeah.
some shifts in the industry you've noticed from the start up until now?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that even from the day we started to now, it's been like a monumental change in the landscape of what AI models are capable of, the number of players who are building foundation models, the number of players like ourselves who are building applications. And so I see a couple big shifts that are coming through. The first one is a year ago, and even more so like 2 years ago. Before this, I was working at a different startup in the sales space, but using AI to automate outbound sales. And I think back then, one of the big focuses of many companies was taking a model that frankly cannot do the things that we're asking it to do out of the box, and then really trying to build systems around it to help it achieve the thing you're trying to do. So for example, I think a good one might be if you have a bunch of files that you're trying to get content out of. A couple years ago, or even like a year ago, you might have been using a specialized model that was trained on only PDF files to extract data, and then using another model to, summarize that data, and then a third one to finally get some insights out of it. Today, you could get 95% of those results by just putting that PDF into a model like Gemini and asking it the question. And so I think we see a lot of shifts where companies are now betting on the fact that models are going to keep getting better and better. And instead of trying to invest a ton of time into making up for a few of the shortcomings of these models, they're like, there's no point. The models are just going to get better in a couple months and do this thing out of the box anyways. And so you see a lot of companies focusing on building today for what they believe the models are going to be capable of doing a couple months or a year down the line.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where you see a lot of companies that get killed. Everybody's always joking, OpenAI just killed another 100 companies with this new model. And so, the question that we try to ask ourselves, and we've heard this from many folks as well, is are you going to be happy when a new model has come out and your product has gotten a lot better, or are you going to feel sad that the entire point of your product no longer exists because the model can just do it out of the box?
Right. And do you have any fear in yourself or in the company that that might happen? Or is it a sense of you guys are doing something so different
Mhm.
that the OpenAI, the Gemini, the ChatGPT can't implement?
So we made I think a big shift in the way that we were building this product around 6 or so months ago, because we used to be in that former camp where we spent a lot of time trying to make up for the shortcomings of, back then it was what, GPT 4.0.
Right.
And we're like, okay, this is the model. And we kind of had this internal mindset of this is the model we're going to have for the rest of this company's life. And we're going to do everything we can to make our product work with this one model. And then newer models come out, O1,
Right.
O3, and we're like, oh, we don't need to do this anymore. And so around 6 months ago, we're like, okay, every time we make a choice regarding trying to make up for a shortcoming in the model or trying to make up for a limitation, we ask ourselves, is this likely going to just get solved when the next model comes out? And if it is, then we don't invest as much time into it. And so I'm pretty confident that whenever new models come out, we already are ecstatic because that means our product just got that much better.
Right.
And the second reason, and that's the second trend I think I've seen over the past year that's been shifting, is the players that are going to win here, we believe, are the ones that have not just the best models. Obviously, that's a prerequisite, but because everybody has access to these models, it's the ones with the best UX and the best distribution and everything that is not the core product or the core AI tech. So it's how the users interact with it. It's how they share the stuff they've built. It's how they feel a sense of loyalty to the product. And so that's what we're really focused on, and that's why we're no longer very concerned that new models come out and we no longer exist.
Right. So then, you guys being an AI startup, how has artificial intelligence helped your business grow? Not just on the front end of,
Mhm.
you guys are coding the agents or
Yeah,
you're using APIs. Maybe on the back end, like you said, you're working for a company lead genning, right?
yeah. Mhm.
So how has that impacted from the beginning until now, continues to develop your business strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI has, like, we are an AI company and we build a product that uses AI, but we use AI. Honestly, I don't think there's a single part of our company that it doesn't touch, whether that's in sales. So when we were doing outbound sales, we were using a lot of AI tools to do lead gen, to do deep research, to qualify leads. That was a huge time saver. And especially when you're a startup, early stage, when it's just the two of us. We have to be doing everything. We can't just be doing engineering. We have to do engineering and sales and marketing. And when we're raising our round, we had to do investor outreach. And so, I mean, I don't even know if we would have been able to do even a quarter of the things that we were able to do in the last year without the use of these AI tools.
It seems like in the recent past and up until now, the stuff that you guys have been doing, just you two, would have previously taken a team of 10 or maybe even
Yeah,
15 or 20.
yeah, we would have ended up hiring, people for sales, people for marketing when we're doing investor outreach. Yeah, I mean, it's gone to the point where there are things that we even start taking for granted. We have that handy little note taker in every call, and we never need to take notes now.
Right.
And that's just become so ubiquitous, and I can't imagine building this company without it.
So how does Vly differentiate from other no-code tools like Replit? Or even
Mhm.
on Claude, I can go in, I can give it a
Yeah.
simple prompt and it can give me the user interface. How does Vly
Mhm.
alter or how does it differ from tools like that?
Yeah, that's a question we get asked a lot. And one of the things that I like to have a lot of people do is just go out and use the product and put in some
I've found
prompts
that.
and build on it. And so I think one of the things that we really excel in, and a lot of our customers who have been coming to us from other platforms have been happy about, is um, a very strong functional backend. So you'll see a lot of times on AI app builders, I've played around with almost all of them, have built many iterations of Vly as well. And in the past, it's something we struggle with, is building a backend. So that means the database, the functionality, all the business logic, building it, the initial generation. So when you first ask for it, building that so it doesn't have bugs and doesn't have errors. And that's a really tricky part to even diagnose, because if a button is in the wrong place or it's the wrong color, it's very easy for a user to see it and let you know. and they can just tell the agent, hey, this button is red instead of green, please change it. But in the back end, you might click a button and 10 things are supposed to happen, but only 9 of them did. That's really hard to, first of all, even realize happened until way down the line. And then second of all, it's very hard to be able to articulate to an agent exactly what happened. And so between the choice of tech stack that we use with our generated apps and a lot of the testing suite that we already rolled out and are continuing to roll out, I think the backends are one of the places that we very much excel in. We see very few instances where there are errors that aren't resolved. The way we see it is if an error happens, our agent is fed that error and then we go fix it and we continue that loop until all the errors are out. And it's extremely rare that the agent kind of exits that loop without having been able to solve that error.
And so, speaking to someone that doesn't have a technical background, how much
Mhm.
of a background or how much knowledge would they need to know to get started on Vly? Say if there was a bug or if there was
Yeah.
multiple bugs, how much knowledge would they need to know going into it to start
Yeah.
building their first app or their first website?
Pretty much no technical knowledge. You'll see one of the things you can start with as simple as a single sentence description of your app. You don't even need to know, let's not call it maybe like technical knowledge, but let's say around software engineering, the kind of like a product manager would have to be able to articulate their idea in a very descriptive way. You don't even need that because we have agents that'll help you flesh out your idea. And when it comes to debugging, we have a couple things that make this really easy. Anytime an error happens on the back end, we automatically catch it. And before you even realize it, our agent has already received that error message where it happened in the code and starts fixing it. If something happens at runtime, so that means, oh, I clicked on a button and I got a blank screen. We're also able to catch those kinds of errors and pipe them back into the agent automatically. In the future, what we're really excited on rolling out in maybe the next couple of weeks is our own testing agent. So you've built an app, you have it ready to go, and we're going to have an agent that'll go around and start clicking around your app, trying all the pages, all the features, and verifying not only does it do the thing it's supposed to, but also if I click, for example, the like button, it can access the database and make sure that the like count has increased. And so we think that's going to be a huge step in pushing reliable apps and giving people the confidence to AI generate apps and put them into production.
Right. So, up until now, then, we've talked about a lot of the good, like
Mhm.
everything that's going well. Let's look at some of the challenges, maybe. What's some of the challenges you guys have seen in the last year that may be front end, that may be back end? Just take me through some of those things.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the challenges that we honestly did not expect coming into this, we knew we're an AI company, we're going to be very AI focused. We kind of figured that a lot of our challenges would be in building like on the AI side, but actually what ended up being a non-trivial challenge was all of the infrastructure to support an app like this. And so when you create an app on Vly, we actually provision an entire developer instance. So the same thing that would be running on my laptop as an actual dev when I am starting a new project, we have that running in the cloud. So we have essentially a virtual machine that's running all of the dev servers, that's holding all of your code, that we run our error checks on. And so building out that infrastructure in a way that's scalable, reliable, and also fast was a challenge that was not at the top of my mind when I kind of was coming into this. That was a pretty significant engineering effort there. And so, once we've solved that, though, it allows us to move incredibly quickly when we're shipping new updates on this. Perhaps another one would be, like I said, I think investing in maybe the wrong things. So focusing too heavily on a single model or focusing too heavily on the like current state of what LLMs can do, and then just getting that work becoming totally obsolete once the next model comes out. And so those were huge learning moments for us.
Right. Okay. And what about some of the pricing structure? I know it's free for me to use.
Yeah.
If I go on, is it limited? Is there a freemium model? What's the model you guys use?
Yeah, so this product of ours is actually pretty new. We put it in beta about 2.5 weeks ago. And so we're in a public beta right now. We just want people on the platform using it. Sometime in the next couple weeks, we're going to launch publicly. We're going to put on the real pricing plans. So we're going to have obviously a free tier. You'll be able to create projects, share them. We want to encourage people to use the product and really fall in love with it. And then we'll likely have a couple different pricing plans based on the number of projects you want to create, the number of iterations you want to do. So once you have that first app, how many more messages do you want to send to continually request updates? And
Mhm.
then perhaps a couple other vanity things like custom domains for our customers who maybe want to actually deploy this in a company when they want enterprise features like SSO and things like that is probably going to be on the higher end of the plans.
Okay, cool. So then you've talked about it a little bit already, but say in a year's time, where
Mhm.
do you want to see Vly? What is the big picture where you want to see Vly?
Yeah, so I mean, I want to see Vly doing two things really. One is I want to have anybody and everybody who just has an idea, who says, "Oh, I wish there was an app for that," to just be able to go on Vly and describe it and have it built and share it with the world. And I guess the second part of that is I want people to actually be building these apps, sharing them, and getting real usage out of it. I think that's going to be one of the big things where, oh, it's not just an app. A, even if I built it for, five of my close friends, I consider that a win, but I want to see apps built on here getting hundreds and thousands of users. And to that extent, we're releasing some updates that will now allow you to integrate with things like Stripe on a generated app. So if you wanted to build an app and it takes off and people find value in it, I want you to be able to make money out of that. And that's one thing that I really want to see happening with Vly. And the second is I want to see companies start to use this for replacing things that typically would have been done on giant Excel sheets or some random Word document that's been passed around the entire company for years and years, and building software that makes tasks like that much less tedious.
Well, Manav, that's all the questions I got for you. That was awesome. I
Mm.
thank you for sharing some of these insights. Is there any
Sweet.
questions you have you want to ask me or anything you want to touch on more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I figured you've been talking to a lot of AI companies. I think one of the things I want to ask is what excites you kind of the most for, let's say, the next year, with, we can only imagine how powerful the models will be, but what are some of the applications that really excite you with AI?
Some of the applications, I'm not gonna lie, this has probably been one of the most exciting ones I've wanted to do
Awesome.
because I work with
Hmm.
Replit a lot. One of the things that we do on the side is, we're always trying to find value in some of these companies if there's value to add with workflow automation, lead
Hmm.
gen, stuff like that. So we kind of just try to scope out some of those challenges in businesses. But I want to say honestly, these no code tools, they call them vibe coding, right? Even on
Hmm.
Live, when you go on, it says start vibe coding.
Yeah.
I want to see, or I'm excited to see some more in marketing, to be honest, like AI
Hmm.
marketing tools.
Hmm.
But a lot of the no code building apps and stuff like that, because I don't have a technical background, I'm
Yeah.
able to build these apps. So that's what I'm really excited to kind of go
Sweet.
into. Yeah.